Yeah, I think we were talking about a lot of the things that would still be talked about today. So we were talking about corporate presence on campus. We were talking about, you know, financial insecurity, food insecurity. We were talking about how to negotiate the problems of existing in a capitalist system while creating alternative models. I would want them to know we were recognizing that it's hard to build a sustainable community with a student population because you have a turnover of members or of people being active in a community. And I would want them to know that we were recognizing that policy we set then might not serve the needs of people 10 years in the future. Um, and I think that is like, those are inherent problems in a university model beyond Frigo Vert or People's Potato or any food organization that might come out in the future, is that what you're actually doing at the time is trying to set mandates or policies that by the time they get set, you might be gone. So you're always having to think about how the problem might develop in the future. And I think that that's really important for people to know now as they move into the future of what these organizations could be, is remembering that the community you're serving isn't the people here now. It's sometimes you're serving the longevity of the community. So you're trying to serve people who haven't even finished elementary school yet, because by the time they get here, what will the problems be that they're facing? Yeah, I would want them to know too that there was thought about the what kind of space we were providing. Were we providing an inclusive space? Were we providing a space that didn't set up hierarchies between employees and customers and administrators? We were thinking about how to build a community that was, that was non-hierarchical, which is a difficult thing to do. And maybe sometimes, again, when things have been put in place, do the people coming in recognize how to move into that space and exist on the same level, or do they feel like it's something they have, is it? So I would want people to know that that's something we were thinking about, was how to make it open for the people who would come after us. And I would want them to know that these issues are still as important as they were 20 years ago. And I almost feel like they're almost more important because at the time there was such limited product available in terms of what vegan food was. We're talking about, there was a lot of just bulk foods, and it was kind of at the beginning of things like, are we going to have vegan cheese slices? Whereas now I feel like there's actually a whole industry built around selling people health food. And so I think that what type of product is in the store, or what type of product is being sold to people, or the question of, is this a store or is it something else, is almost even more relevant, because there's such a huge industry around this now, that recognizing grassroots efforts and recognizing and supporting local products, and alternative business models is even more, it's an even bigger issue than it was 20 years ago. Like, there was no Starbucks on campus 20 years ago, right? And a lot of even like the chain coffee shops that you had to choose from might actually be Quebec-owned corporations, whereas now we're talking about, everything. There was like one Second Cup, and there was one Press Cafe, and there was more little, independent type of cafes to choose from maybe in the area, or restaurants, whereas now it feels like everything. There's so much big business now in the area that the food choices you make are even more important. So yeah, I think that continuing to talk about these issues and continuing to think about how we consume, and how we dispose of the things we consume, and how we create communities around food, is just going to become more and more important. And it's not a problem we're going to solve. It's an active engagement that every generation of people who come through these organizations and through this institution have to renegotiate for themselves.